I'm a Marine veteran and a single mom to my 3-year-old daughter. I'm a full-time student pursuing criminal justice. My name is Brooke, and I am a Miraculous Mama.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Miraculous Mamas podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Joy, and we believe in empowering women through storytelling and education, and I'm so glad that you're joining us here. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. I am so glad that you're here and listening. We have a super exciting episode today, and if you guys didn't catch last week's, definitely go back and check it out. I had Hannah Belcher on, and it's Autism Awareness Month, and she came on to educate us. She is a researcher. She has her PhD. She was diagnosed when she was 23 years old. And just her knowledge on the topic is absolutely amazing. She gives tips for parents who you may think your child has autism, but also she just dives into the research and why so many kids, especially females, have been misdiagnosed or gone undiagnosed until adulthood, and how we can really change that because it does impact mental health as well. So she shared her personal story, the research that she's found, and just so much information with us. So definitely go back and check that one out. Today I have Jillian Michaels on the podcast, guys. I'm so excited for you guys to hear the interview with her because I honestly was not expecting her to just be so down to earth. She was so much fun to talk with. Before we even started recording, we were laughing. She's just so cool. Like, I feel like we're friends, but we're probably not, but I'm going to pretend that we are. It was just such a really cool interview. She's so transparent and open and honest with us. She talks about co-parenting, and how she's making that work with 2 kids. But on top of that, co-parenting during the quarantine, which is a really hard time to figure that out, especially when you're dealing with, how we're supposed to stay at home, but you want to see both sets of your parents. And, she talks about her relationship and the reasons why it didn't work out and gives advice and just is so honest with us. And then we dive into obviously what she is known for, the fitness stuff. And I ask her a lot of prenatal questions. She has prenatal fitness programs, postnatal fitness programs, and all sorts of stuff. So, and obviously that's her passion and her life's work. So we dive into that as well. But she literally is just such a joy to talk to. And I had so much fun with her. And for those of you who don't know who Jillian Michaels is, I'm going to give you a little bio of how amazing she is. And then I'm going to have her come on. I'll introduce her. She'll tell us a little bit about herself, but she does not brag on herself enough because she is the world's leading fitness expert, renowned nutritionist, and a wellness entrepreneur with an international community of followers exceeding 100 million. Jillian's dominance in health and wellness extends to her award-winning My Fitness by Jillian Michaels app. She has tons of successful fitness DVDs, top exercises streaming platform, 8 New York Times best-selling books, live speaking engagements, popular social media channels, a top podcast, and a list of key business partnerships and investments. In the past decade, her company, Empowered Media, has become a monumental wellness empire dedicated to total life solutions comprising all aspects of living well, including nutrition, fitness, self-help, and overall lifestyle. Her most recent book, The 6 Keys, Unlock Your Genetic Potential for Ageless Strength, Health, and Beauty, is her latest adventure. She doesn't talk about how amazing she is in the podcast and all the things that she's accomplished. So I wanted to give you guys that little bio of her before I bring her on. Hey everyone, I have Jillian Michaels here, and I'm so excited about this interview. She's a personal trainer, a businesswoman, an author. You've seen her on TV, and she's just kind of a household icon, celebrity trainer that everybody's heard of. And she's going to talk to us about a lot of cool things today. So thank you so much, Jillian, for taking the time to come on Miraculous Mamas.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So I love for you just to kind of start out by telling us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the interview.
Yeah, of course. I mean, gosh, a little bit about myself. Let's see. I like beach walks and I like margaritas. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I am a fitness and wellness, I guess, coach, expert. I don't know. Pick your word.
Guru.
Pick your noun. Yeah, whatever noun. I'll take guru. Guru is a great word. Sure. Mom of two, a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old, one boy, one girl. Animal lover. And you kind of said it all. Business entrepreneur. So try to be jack of all trades, but kind of expert of really only one, and that is fitness. The rest I sort of flounder around.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I was Googling you before all of this. So I saw that you're a fellow Aquarius. So I'm like, oh, that's nice. Because I'm an Aquarius as well. So I'm like, oh, I love Aquarius people.
When's your birthday?
January 31st.
Oh, okay. Mine's February 18th. So I just made it. Like right on the cusp.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So before we get into everything, I mean, obviously right now with the quarantine going on and still trying to be sane as a parent, trying to not, I know for me being pregnant, I'm like still trying to like go for walks every day and get some sort of movement in and at least, you know, being as healthy as I can be, but it can be so hard when you feel isolated and quarantined. So I'd love for you just to kind of tell us about what you've been doing and how you're staying anxiety-free during this, or if you have had any anxieties.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny. What a sense of humor you have. Holy cow. I mean, look, I'm not even going to pretend to have this thing on lock and just like, oh, I'm so chill. I'm totally fine. It's scary. It really is. It comes in waves, and as it unfolds and develops, there's new things to be concerned about, whether it's honestly, you know, the way your kids are feeling, missing their 10th birthday and their... you know, not seeing their friends for weeks and having no structure for them and trying to look, bottom line is I'm just saying there's a host of issues that I'm absolutely contending with here, just like everybody else. So for me, whenever I feel kind of out of control, which is something I absolutely hate, and I'm guessing probably a lot of people feel the same, first thing I do is look at, all right, what can I control? You know, where can I gain a sense of control? And there's the obvious, right? There's the self-care spiel, but it's a spiel for a reason. You can control it. It's like, how are you going to react, right? Are you going to go and put on 15 pounds because you're going to stress eat and freak out? Or are you going to take this time and focus on, like one of my assistants who I love madly, after 10 years, he finally quit smoking 4 days ago.
Oh, that's
right?
awesome. That's awesome.
He's like, all right, I have the time to fall apart here. And somebody else I know was like, I've always wanted to, you know, learn to do a handstand. So that's her thing. Or it could be fitness related. It could be, you know, personal improvement, like learning a language. What can you control? What can you focus on that's positive? Beyond also how you respond. You know what I mean? They always say, like, you can't control what happens, but you can control how you respond to it. So, like, all right, are you going to freak out? Are you going to fall apart? Or are you going to look for the bigger meaning, try to grow and learn from it? And there are days when I do great with this, and there are days when I absolutely fail with it. But every win is a win. And, you know, if you win some and you lose some, you're doing better than losing them all. So perspective is key. And I think that it's just, it's about like every step in the right direction is one that gets celebrated, being really kind and loving and nurturing with yourself in ways that aren't just self-destructive, you know, spending money you don't have, eating food that you shouldn't be, and nurturing yourself in ways that are positive and life affirming, if you can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I know one thing that it's definitely helped me with is looking at what I spend money on. I'm not a huge shopper, but I did realize that I would just get things that weren't necessary, you know, and just even now it's like, because they said like the next couple weeks are critical. So I haven't been to the grocery store. I ordered groceries on Monday that weren't going to get delivered till Saturday. So I'm trying to be creative in the kitchen with what I have and, just being like, okay, like, how can we make the best of this situation? But I think for sure looking at what you can control and I love your idea of just like, celebrating the little things that you are accomplishing and doing.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, every little thing, like my girlfriend's like, I used to love cooking. And now she's back into cooking. She's like, I loved this. And we stopped doing it because we had the luxury of eating out and it was just easier with the kids' schedule and the cleanup and everything. And so it's like, she's like, I love this. I'm back into it. Awesome. I've discovered something I love. She's kind of able to take time to get into art projects. Like it's that. It's like every little positive you can find, focus on it, celebrate it, make it a big deal because what you put your intention on grows. All these cheesy self-help things I'm saying, but they're true and we need them now more than ever.
Right. Yeah, totally. All right. We're going to take a quick break to talk about how difficult it can be to find that perfect Mother's Day gift. You guys, Mother's Day is right around the corner. So finding the perfect gift can be really hard because I know for me, I want it to have sentimental value, but also kind of be practical, but bring my mom joy, so trying to find all of that bundled into one can be really, really hard. And I'm not able to visit my parents as much as I'd like to. They live kind of far away and traveling right now is really tough, which is why I love the Skylight frame. It's a touchscreen photo frame that you can email photos to, and they appear in seconds so mom can see your favorite moments. I highly recommend this frame. So I already got it for my mom, and that is why I can recommend it to you guys. Vito and I had our 20-week ultrasound last week, and I was able to send her some photos on there, and she was just loving them. As soon as you send a photo through, it appears within seconds on their screen and they can double tap to like it. And whenever I send a photo, I immediately get somebody liked your photo sent back to me. And she has an Android phone and I have an iPhone. So when you're texting pictures over the two different devices, they're not always so clear. And then I was talking to her today and she called me as soon as she got the photo. And was like, oh my gosh, the photo's so clear on here. I can see the baby's spine and everything. She was so excited because the photos appear so clear on the screen for her. But it's such an amazing gift. And nowadays, staying in touch with those you love is more important than ever. And the easiest way to do it is with Skylight, a photo frame that you can email photos to anytime from anywhere. And it really does help keep the family together and in touch. You can even give it to your friends, large networks of friends and families. It's just a really great way to bring people together. And sending the photo in is so easy. Everyone in your family can just email photos right to your mom's Skylight and they pop up, like I said, within seconds. And it has a black frame, so it looks like a real photo frame and adds a beautiful touch to your home. It's a gorgeous 10-inch touch screen that you can swipe through photos with your finger and even tap to thank the person who sent you the photo. And it's 100% satisfaction guaranteed. We want to give you guys an offer because this really is an amazing gift to get to your mom for Mother's Day. If you're a mom and you want this gift, just kind of, hint it on over to your hubs or someone else to get it for you. Now, as a special holiday offer, you can get $10 off your purchase of a Skylight frame when you go to skylightframe.com/mama and enter code MAMA. That's right. To get $10 off your purchase of a Skylight frame, just go to skylightframe.com/mama and enter code MAMA. That's skylightframe.com/mama. I would love before we get into the fitness stuff, because I have a lot of questions for you there. But also I'd love for you to talk about, you have a 7 and a 9-year-old, and how are you co-parenting, especially during this time?
So funny you say that. We're actually having we're not fighting at all, but my ex, so we do, we usually will do, when life is normal, we would go like, I'll take him 3 days a week, you take him 4 days a week, or just every other day, because we live very close. Mm-hmm. And it works great. So the kids see us both all week long, and I'll pick them up from school, you get them from me later. Now, because of COVID, she will say like, all right, I'll take this week, you take the next week. And because it's like, well, what if somebody in the house gets sick?
Right.
has a girlfriend. I have a girlfriend. So I was supposed to get the kids 2 days ago. And she's like, okay, Elizabeth has a slight fever. That's her girlfriend. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. She's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, Heidi, you gotta keep them right now because now everybody's been exposed. So like, we've been dealing with it all morning. It's like, okay, what do we do? Because my daughter's 10th birthday is on Saturday, like literally 2 days away. And it's like, so her girlfriend is trying to get tested, but you can't take the rapid tests because you don't want to take them from people in need. So it's like 2 to 3 days. It's a whole thing. So it's just a brand new world. I mean, what do we normally do? We have a great relationship and it's super easy. And it's like, I'll get them, you get them, no problem. Oh, you have this, I'll get it for you. So we're doing it this way to try to minimize the exposure. And it's just, I don't know. We're basically just communicating and being as careful as possible. And I hope it's nothing, but we're just taking it pretty seriously. And whereas normally you'd say, all right, well, don't test, just quarantine.
Right.
When you have kids that are going back and forth, I can't not see my kids for 2 weeks unless it's absolutely necessary, especially on my daughter's 10th birthday.
Right.
So that's where it does get really tricky because, you you don't want to be passing this infection into different households with people who have different elderly parents that need you to bring them food to their door. And it's complicated. So we're doing it like 1 week at a time and just communicating constantly and being as careful and responsible as we can be about it.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you can do, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so hard. So I'd love to talk about then outside of quarantine, because I know you said your kids are very much a priority, and there's a lot of people listening who do co-parent. So how do you show that, I guess, in your co-parenting relationship? You made it sound like you guys have great communication and you have a great flow outside of this. But I'd love for you just to kind of talk about how you make it work.
It's interesting. What didn't work in our relationship with regard to parenting seems to work a heck of a lot better with us as co-parents, right? Because we just had very different philosophies on things. Like Heidi, my ex was like, my son would get into shenanigans and she'd want to do a time in, right? Where you hold the child. And I was like, are you insane? Exactly what he wants. He needs to time out, and then we would get into an argument behind closed doors about it. Whereas now it's like, I'm really good at kind of the structure and the, you got this, you can do this. I believe in you. Nope. You fall down. I'm like, you're okay. I get it. It hurts. You're going to be all right. And she's really good at like homeschooling and the nurturing and the playing Barbies with them. And so even though they don't have parents that are alike, they are getting, I think, the best of both worlds. And my hope is that does bring balance. Even yesterday I was joking around with Heidi and she's like, I was being a jerk, so please forgive me, but I was playing around with her and I was like, it's a bummer I can't take life insurance out on you now because, with her girlfriend having life fever. She's like, you would die without me. Have you tried 4th grade math? I mean, so like we have that like a really good camaraderie and a huge respect for each other. And it's like what didn't work in the relationship for some reason works well now as co-parents.
Yeah.
We have the freedom to parent the way we want, but also we respect the other person for doing the things we aren't great at. So it actually works well now.
Yeah, that's so good. I think just parenting in general is so hard. So I think like being a birth doula, I really look forward to the birthing experience and going through all of that because I've studied it and I feel really confident in it. When it comes to what comes afterwards, I'm like crapping my pants a little bit. I'm like, I know nothing about being a mom. There's so many books out there and I'm definitely going to read stuff. I think it's really important to educate yourself, but every kid's different. Every relationship's different. And those are even, I feel like the biggest arguments my husband and I have had now is how we're going to raise our kids in the future. And it's so hard.
If I could say anything, and these things are so politically incorrect and no one talks about it. But I remember as a kid, you know, my parents got divorced and they were like, it's not because of you. It's not because of you. And I remember thinking, of course it's not because of me. What are you talking about?
Right.
Like, why were they? Now, it isn't like with Heidi and I, it isn't because of the kids. This was never their fault. It was over them for sure.
Yeah.
And I would say that if we can be honest about how this affects couples and get people to start talking early, during, throughout, it can only help, because we read every book, we had every conversation, you know, and then the minute we had the kids, stuff from her childhood came out, stuff from my childhood came out, and we were a couple that never, ever, 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 ever thought we were at odds from go.
Right.
From the moment she became pregnant, even before she became pregnant, I was like, I want to adopt. I want my own kid. Okay, we're going to do both. I want a friend of the family. I want a donor. Oh my God, how do we deal with that? I mean, just on and on and on and on. And so the more you can communicate constantly and know that it's okay, and all those guilty feelings and the fight, like, work it out, because I think people don't really talk about that as often as they could or should. And I think that some men, not all, you know, if we're speaking about like a traditional husband and wife relationship, feel like they don't even know where their place is after their wife has the baby, and that's normal and not discussed. And I think this is why you see so many men go have affairs and everyone thinks, what a scumbag, which I remember thinking about all the men I knew who did that. And I never cheated on Heidi, but I remember after my son was born, I was like, where do I fit in here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't know. And that's normal. But then there comes a time after like a year or so where you kind of do have to sort of, it's got to become the couple again to a certain extent. It's really complicated, but it's like the more you talk it through and work on it. And if you need counseling to get through it, there's no shame in that either.
Right. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of therapy for sure. And I love that you like hearing the other perspective though, that you're saying like, where do I fit in? Because I think when you do have the baby, that motherly instinct is, my world's about this now and nothing else.
Too, right? As it should be. The issue is that at some point, and I you know, we did so much freaking therapy over this. My family therapist, so many therapists. And the issue is that it, you know, arguably, and I'm not an expert, this is what I was told, is that for the first year, it needs to be that way. Baby needs mommy. They need to be enmeshed. They need to be that way. And daddy needs to provide, or other co-parent, right? Forgive me for the hetero norm, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like the other person needs to provide a safe environment for that to be that way. But then after about a year or so, you know, the other person needs to kind of come in and say, all right, you know, this is, you know, now this is our relationship. And there needs to sort of be almost a triangle where it's like the couple gains back its significance and its importance. And, you know, the child is equally as important, but there's like a triangle, so to speak.
Right.
And we just never, ever got that back. We could not get that back no matter how hard I fought for it. And I'll never forget, she was like, look, I love you, but I'm a mom now and you're just not my priority. And for me, I was like, well, see, this is where I don't agree. You are my priority. And I think if we're good, then the kids will be good. And we just never could fix it. We could never. And no one was wrong, right? You can be like, Jill, you're so selfish. You're a horrible person. The reality is that's how I felt, right? So you can't tell someone they're wrong for their feelings. All you can do is talk it through, work on it, talk it through, work on it, talk it through, work on it. And at the end of the day, even though we couldn't stay together through it, we're still great co-parents and we never disrespected each other. And, you know, we have nothing but love for one another, but we just couldn't make it work in the relationship.
What you're describing, though, I've heard from so many couples, and like just that, well, I'm a mom, and like how, you know, you feel like you spread yourself so thin. But your perspective and what you're saying is what my husband and I always talk about. It's like, okay, we want to be able to put each other first. We want to put each other first. And then I've heard from so many other people just say, yeah, but wait till you have a kid.
Wait till you have a baby. That's what I say to all the women who are like, no, my husband and I are still going to have date nights. No, we're still going to have romantic getaways. I'm like, okay, and I really hope that's true. But I remember that, like, there was a trip I had to take to the UK. And so I was doing speaking engagements throughout the UK for 2 weeks. And I was like, look, meet me in Amsterdam. We've never been. Come, we'll go for 4 days and we'll come home. I'll never forget it. She was crying. The kids were at that point like 3 and 5. Yeah. And her parents were there. She has a twin sister that was, with the kids. And like, she was the guilt. She did not want to come. And I was just like, oh my God, like, are we ever going to have any sense of like being a couple again? Now, I think she was the extreme. She thinks I was the extreme where I didn't feel guilty. I was like, they're fine.
Right.
They're with their family who adore them. They're going to be so stoked we're gone. They're going to be eating cookies that your mom makes all the time. And, so I would just say, here's what I can tell you. Like, I get it's hard and those hormones are going to go. And for the first at least year, you're going to need to, those hormones kick in for a reason. But at some point, you do need to remember, like, okay, wait a second. There wasn't us.
Yeah.
We can't leave us. Because personally, and I am the farthest thing from a parenting expert, so don't take this as a, this is just me as a person, not as some sort of parenting expert. But for me, I think, like, aren't we raising these little guys to be independent and become adults one day? Like, not at 2, 3, 4, obviously. But I think that they'll feel way better when they don't need to worry about you. When mom and dad are good and they don't feel like they're your whole world.
Right.
So they almost feel guilty growing up. Because I've had a lot of friends who went through that, and I don't know, we used to go at it about that. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, Heidi, they are one day going to grow up. They're going to be teenagers. They're going to individuate. They're going to need to, like, do their own thing and hate us. And they'll feel a hell of a lot better doing that, knowing, like, well, my moms are like, awesome, they're in love, they're in Hawaii. Well, I'm at summer camp for 2 weeks because that's where they want to be at some point.
Right.
And we just couldn't get through it, which is so sad. But I do wish that people would be more honest about it so that other couples know, like, all right, I don't feel guilty for having these feelings. Mm-hmm. I don't hate you for you having your feelings. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. We're just different. How do we get on the same page in a way that it works?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing all of that, because based on, just conversations within our community and friends of mine who have had kids, I feel like that is the majority of couples. Once the kid enters the equation and just everything changes and how you thought it would be isn't how it is. And you have to navigate that, which is also why I'm a huge fan of therapy. But I think that the more conversations you can have beforehand as well, and trying to really figure out what are your values, how do you see this? And I understand things will change. I can say so many things now, but once I have the baby, everything's out the door. I don't know, so it's...
You don't know, I'm telling you, you don't. And the things that come up are crazy. Like, your childhood is going to come back to you in ways you didn't even anticipate. Like with my ex, her parents were always like, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. Everything's fine. There was no time to be sad, upset, pull it together. Everything's fine. And she had a lot go on in her childhood. So then with my son, every feeling was indulged to the point that I was like, okay, wait, Heidi, at some point, this behavior is not acceptable and it needs to be not acceptable. But for her, it was like, no, he's expressing himself because she never was allowed to. Yeah. And then for me, it triggered me because my dad was not the coolest dude. So, for me, I wanted a son that was always respectful with women. And, meanwhile, he's 3, 4, and 5. So it's like, of course he's going to be horrible. He's just a toddler. But it was like, it was triggering me being like, oh my God, but what if he's like, this is a teenager? Like, it's just all this crazy stuff comes up and you need to be like, okay, this is historical. Let me work this through. Like, it'll be constant. Cause at 7 and 9, I am still, dude, oh my God, just every day something else comes up for me. Crazy.
Yeah. Your kids are your biggest mirrors for sure.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I know that it's going to trigger some questions and with people listening who are like, man, maybe I didn't think about that perspective, or maybe I do need to have this conversation with my partner and try to figure out getting on the same page. So thank you so much for being so open and sharing with us.
Of course. I mean, what else do we have if we don't have our authenticity? What else is there?
Very, very true. All right, we're going to take a quick break to the episode to talk about something that we all want to do, because we all want to keep our bodies healthy in the long run. But even when we try really hard to eat kale salads and drink green smoothies, we're most likely not getting all of the essential nutrients that we need on a daily basis, which is why I love Ritual. The obsessively researched vitamin for women, Ritual's essentials have the nutrients that most of us don't get enough from our food, all in their clean, absorbable forms. No shady additives or ingredients that can do more harm to your body than good. There's 2 easy-to-take capsules that provide 9 nutrients that you need to support a strong foundation for your health. I chose to do Ritual because I think it's so important to see where all of your ingredients are from. I like being able to know, hey, this is the ingredient in here, but they go even deeper than that. If you go on their website, you can look up where they source their ingredients from. And I think that it's really cool to work with companies that are transparent. They don't have anything to hide. And like they said, it's obsessively researched, which you know that you can trust a brand when they care that much to put all of that into their vitamins for you. And from D3 to omega-3, Ritual's Essentials for Women helps fill the gaps in women's diets. There's the no nausea capsule design is gentle on an empty stomach, and there's a mint tab in every bottle to keep things fresh so you don't get that fishy aftertaste among most omega-3s. Which that's actually another reason why I love them, because I'm, pregnant and my acid reflux is really bad. And when I burp things up, it is not good. And I have burped up other omegas in the past, but with this one, it really is gentle on your stomach. And I have enjoyed taking it because I don't taste that fish smell afterwards. And they are vegan friendly, sugar free, non-GMO, gluten free, all allergen-free ingredients, and they list their sources again out there for the world to see. It's also easy to get because you sign up for a subscription and you can hit snooze whenever you want, and it's only $1 a day to have all the essential nutrients that your body needs delivered every month with no strings attached. Better health doesn't happen overnight, and right now Ritual is offering the listeners 10% off during your first 3 months. Fill in the gaps in your diet with Essential for Women, a small step that helps support a healthy foundation for your body. Visit ritual.com/mamas to start your ritual today. That's 10% off during your first 3 months at ritual.com/mamas. Now back to the show. So I do want to dive into the fitness world a little bit. So you've been a fitness icon forever, and I know that the industry has changed so much over the years. I know what was cool when I was younger. I'm in my mid-30s now, like what health, quote unquote, health was, when I was a kid, and now is so different. So I'd love for you to talk about maybe some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the health industry from your perspective, and whether you think, they've been positive.
Well, okay. The first thing I would say is there are trends. And obviously those come and go, right? So hence things change, but there have always been trends. So that's the one thing that stays consistent. And then with that, please know that the science of it does not change. It may evolve. We may learn more over time, but so when you think about weight gain, right? Separating that from health completely. But gaining weight, maintaining weight, losing weight, that is a very simple science that has never changed and never will. It's called the Law of Thermodynamics. It's a scientific law, not even a theory. Law means it's proven, right? And all that law means is that energy can't be created or destroyed in a vacuum. Energy is calories. So basically what it says is, hey, you can't store fat without eating calories. You can't. That's the vacuum, right? You got to take them in. They don't get created unless you take them in Now, everybody's metabolism will process that in a different way, but nevertheless, and you can't burn those calories or lose those calories without something that creates an energy call. So my point here is that the science is the same. It can evolve. We can learn more as time goes on, but those trends, that's not a trend. That's basically what I'm saying. Now, when it comes to fitness, of course, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I love yoga. I love Pilates. I'm into yoga on a surfboard. I want to do CrossFit. I'm into extreme, endurance sports. Like these things will come and go. The science of fitness does remain the same, right? Which techniques will be the most effective at maintaining muscle, bone density, helping you burn more calories. But there's room for these trends because the most important rule of fitness is consistency. And if you don't like something, you're not going to do it.
Right.
So if somebody came to me and they were like, no shot, I'm going to do, one of your DVDs, I'd rather stick needles in my eyes. I don't want to do lunges and bicep curls. I don't want to do mountain climbers or jumping jacks. I really, really like my Zumba class. Then you know what? I could say, well, here's why that workout's not as good as mine, but it's a hell of a lot better than mine if that's the one you're going to show up for, right? So this is where with trends, we can look at the science of these trends, but if you like it and it has no downside to it, I'd say you're good to go here if you're going to show up for it. So with fitness, I have seen it all. The things that I do warn against very strongly are extreme fitness trends. So, when we get into things like CrossFit or hot yoga, these are very extreme, working out in a 115-degree room, terrible friggin' idea. And it serves no purpose. It doesn't do anything you think it does, except dehydrate the hell out of your body, give you a far less efficient workout, because even though you're extremely stressed, you're not stressed from physical exertion through activity. You're stressed from literally an environment that is, 115 degrees. So those things I really like to tell people, like, please don't. Like, and if you do, you do it no more than twice a week and you look at all the dangers around it and then you take steps to mitigate it. So like CrossFit, why don't I like it? Well, I don't understand the programming of it. It's one size fits all. Everybody gets the same handed down workout. I don't like the fact that there's no programmed rest and recovery, right? There's no periodization to it. So it's not like, okay, we build up and then we dial back and then we build up a little more and then we dial back. Like they don't believe in muscle splits, which means you give muscles certain days of rest in between training sessions. They've got people doing the most extreme sports like Olympic lifts, keyword being Olympic, or gymnastics. Gymnasts do gymnastics, and you've got like the average bear in there taking a class from a weekend certified instructor, and you're doing Olympic lifts for time, which is madness. Absolute effing insanity. So if you're like, well, I really love it, then I would say, okay, you do it no more than twice a week, because then you've built in recovery and you've built in muscle splits inherently by separating those workouts by at least 2 days. And you better find the absolute best coach. And I would say the only CrossFit coach I would see is somebody with an actual degree in exercise science. Because for me personally, like, I don't teach Olympic lifts. And I've had great teachers teach me, not for time, and I would still never teach it. I'd be like, yeah, no shot. Like, it's so technical and so dangerous. So I would say, like, who is a specialist in this and have them teach it. So with these trends, those are the only ones I think you need to be very careful of, are the very extreme forms of fitness. With food, same thing. Like, food, to a certain extent, there's a lot we know about it, right? Calories in, calories out is what's going to determine whether you get bigger, smaller, or stay the same. The quality of your food, and when I talk about quality, I mean no hormones, no antibiotics, no pesticides, no fake colors, no fake sugars, no fake fats. That's a fact. That's universal, applies to everyone. Now, when you start getting into healthy and clean whole foods, protein, fat, and carbs, everybody needs these. Everybody does. And when people start manipulating that macronutrient ratio to sell you a fad diet, now you're getting into some dangerous territory, right? And that's where I would say, look, common sense dictates that we have these 3 macronutrients for a reason, and they each hold different micronutrients, which are your vitamins and your minerals, right? On top of antioxidants, polyphenols, like all those special, super healthy nutrients that you get in your food. When you start cutting out, oh, fat makes you fat, we're not doing that. That was a trend from the 90s. Ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And then it was like, oh, carbs are the devil, we're not doing that. And apple is not the devil.
Right.
When you get into a diet that tells you bacon is king and apple is bad, somebody bumped their head. Like, what happened? Who drank the Kool-Aid there? Come on, guys. You know, that's where I would say you get into these really weird, extreme manipulations of macronutrients. Like, no, that's absolutely no. You don't need to mess with it. And I could go on and on about the science of this, but the bottom line is, to be healthy, you don't overeat, you eat whole foods, minimize any fake foods, preservatives, or chemicals. To lose weight, you eat less food than you burn in a day, eat healthy, eat less chemicals, eat whole foods. Like, it's the same, I promise. It really is. And that is the key, no matter what trend comes and goes. That is the science of it.
Yeah. And well, I feel like a lot of people don't realize how many chemicals are in our food. And I remember reading years ago, I used to follow, do you know who Sean Croxton is?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I started listening to his podcast like 10 years ago, and it was before like podcasts were on iTunes, or if they were, or on Apple. If they were, I didn't really know about it. But he'd bring on all these health people and have all these health summits. And they were talking about how when you eat like whole foods and real foods and minimize your pesticides and chemicals, the foods taste better, they're more satisfying, and you're less likely to, munch on other things because you're getting the nutrients that you need and your body's feeling satisfied and sending that signal of, oh, we got everything we need, we feel good, you can stop. Whereas like when you're eating the chemicals and the fillers, it's crazy. But in the United States, we allow so much more in our food than other countries do. And that's what's mind blowing to me is if you even look at the back of a Flaming Hot Cheetos label in Australia compared to here, the list of ingredients in Australia is like a fourth of the list of the ingredients on them here. So it's like, how is that even legal, putting that stuff into food?
It's lobbying, right? It's food lobbying the politicians. I mean, only in the last, I think, year have trans fats been banned in our food supply. These things were the number one contributor to heart disease, these fake fats. We couldn't break them down. So they would just sit in the body and kill people over time. And it's just, unfortunately, with all the special interest groups that lobby our politicians, this is what's happening. But my thing is as follows. We can't sit around and wait for people to save us, right? We got to be proactive, know this is going on, know the chances of changing it are slim. So when we're educated, we can choose because the better option is out there. And we vote with our dollars and we support those companies that are doing the right thing. And that's exactly where you can get, right? You take control of what you can, because the other thing we can't control. People are going to do what they're going to do. Big business is going to do what it's going to do. You vote, when it's time to vote. But at the end of the day, by educating yourself, you can be proactive about the choices you make in your life. And that's what we can control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I also remember hearing somewhere that, if you can't buy everything organic, there's always the list of the dirty dozen, the things that hold the most pesticides, but also getting produce that is processed in South America, or like avocados from Mexico versus California, actually have less pesticides because they use less chemicals. And places like Guatemala outlawed glyphosate and other harmful pesticides. So produce coming from there is oftentimes cleaner than produce that's actually manufactured in the United States if you can't buy organic.
Oh, God, look at you. Go.
Yeah. I get like a little crazy. Sometimes I drive my husband crazy sometimes with all of this.
That's good. As long as it doesn't inhibit the quality of your life.
No.
There's like the more information you have, that's why they say knowledge is power. That's how you make informed choices, and those choices are going to yield powerful results, which is what you want. So as long as it's not making you like, Howard Hughesian, where you don't want to leave the house, and you're so deeply paranoid or angry about the system that you can't function. Like, information is good. Information is key.
Yeah, 100%. You had brought up a couple of things. One of them was, when you were talking about the CrossFit workouts, just when things are one size fits all. And I feel like that's something that we've kind of noticed doesn't work for everyone. There's not a one size fit all workout program. Because like you said, if this person's like, well, I'm not going to do this, it's like, okay, well, what will you do? Which is what's really cool about your app. I was looking on there, and it's like you can pick how long you want to work out. You can pick, what type of workout, and you can literally cater it so that at least you're moving 7 minutes that day or whatever it is. So I'd love for you to kind of talk about your inspiration behind that.
Oh, super sweet. I mean, look, for years, obviously, I was like the queen of the at-home workout. Not to be cheesy, but like the DVD world, I did great, right? It's like, here's your workout, and it was awesome. But the issue with DVDs, and I created all different kinds. There was yoga and kettlebells and strength and HIIT and this and that. But it's still like, you can put 3 workouts on it. And I did my best to say like, okay, here's a modification and here's a progression. But with technology evolving the way it has, I can literally, it's the closest thing to me being someone's personal trainer, because I have the ability to turn around and go, all right, great. What is your current fitness level? What is your fitness goal? How long do you have? What things do you like or not like? Do you like yoga? Do you like kickboxing? Do you want resistance training? Are you into HIIT? Do you want endurance exercises? It's, what do you want to gain weight? Do you want to lose weight? Do you just want to become more flexible and mobile? Are you looking for a foam roller program? It allows me to talk to that individual and say, okay, tell me everything. And then their program is created based on everything they say. And what I did was literally sit down with our tech team and said, okay, these are all ab workouts, all ab exercises. This ab exercise has these 15 modifications. This is, and then those modifications would be in levels of fitness, or these 15 exercises are progressions of this move, so that you automatically tell me, then after your workout, you can say too easy. And then it will step up to the next level. Too hard, it will drop down to the next level. So what's so cool about it is that it has limitless workouts of all kinds, and it wraps around the person and their needs. And it also has meal plans of all different kinds. So, for me, I believe in being an omnivore, but I understand that people are vegan. People have, gluten intolerance. People have lactose intolerance. There's a host of food issues, things they like, things they don't. They're cooking for 10, they're cooking for 1. So we have hundreds of recipes in the app, as well as obviously put in meal plans, but you can access it one recipe at a time if you choose to. And you can ban ingredients. You can literally say, I'm batch cooking for 10, or I'm only cooking for me, and it automatically adjusts.
Wow.
The whole concept is it's all customized. It's all personal and customized, from the food to the fitness. And then if you can't buy the app, because right now, oh my God, it's like so many people are struggling and out of work. And I would honestly, if I could give it away, I would. We have 25 employees that work on this around the clock. It takes a lot of people to make this thing work and run on a regular basis. So we've slashed the price to $69. It used to be $14 a month. Now for annually, it's $69. But if you can't afford it, go download it, and we have free daily 7-minute workouts. So, at the very least, show up and give me a little micro workout. And, it gives you a sense of okay, I showed up for me. I got something done. It's not intimidating. It's not overwhelming. It's just 7 minutes. I can manage that. And then, the hope is I'm going to get you in the door, get you comfortable, build your strength and confidence, and get you to do a 10, a 15, a 20, a 30. And if it isn't me, I don't care. There's a ton of free fitness out there. Take advantage of it. Do what you love.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I know. I definitely want to dive into some of your prenatal stuff too. But
oh yeah, we have prenatal workouts in the app. I'm giving you the app today.
Sweet.
If my done it already.
Well, and that's the thing. So I know, just from my work as a doula and, just some research and studying with other people, that even if you weren't working out before you're pregnant, you can start working out when you are. And it's actually vital. It's so important to work out while you're pregnant because strengthening your pelvic floor and just everything that you do exercise-wise while you're pregnant makes for a better recovery after, reduces postpartum depression, increases or decreases your healing time, things like that. It's so important. And I know for me, I wasn't in as great of shape as I would have liked before I got pregnant. I wasn't like really out of shape. I had ran a half marathon a couple months before because that was like my goal. I'm like, before we get pregnant, I'm like, I have to run a half marathon.
I don't think I could go run a half marathon now.
Oh, I couldn't right now either. But it, that was my goal before we got pregnant, but I haven't done my best while. Like I'm making sure that I'm doing something every single day, but I definitely would love to step it up just because I know how much it'll help me in labor and delivery and how much it'll help me in the healing process after. So I love that you have a prenatal program out there. Could you tell us like what a few of the workouts are, what all you offer in that region?
Sure. Well, so my foray into prenatal and postnatal fitness was inspired, of course, when my ex had our son, and I actually hired one of the best pregnancy fitness specialists named Andrea Orbeck to train her. Because again, I look at trainers in the same way you might look at a doctor, right? We subspecialize. Mm-hmm. So pregnancy fitness is a very special type of fitness in the same way, like you and I were talking about Olympic lifts, right? Like I wouldn't go train somebody how to do Olympic lifts. I would get the best Olympic coach to work with me to teach people how to do it. So I actually hired Andrea to create the prenatal programs. And I wrote a book called Yeah Baby, which take it out for, I will get it to you. Everyone else take it out for free, at the library. And it has all the fitness advice for every pre-pregnancy, every trimester, and the fourth trimester, right? And then I got friggin' an OBGYN, a pediatrician, an endocrinologist, a pregnancy fitness specialist, all to work with me on this book. And then from there, we evolved programs within the app. So the idea, there's a lot of rules that people that follow. It's like, okay, if you weren't doing something before the pregnancy, meaning you weren't back squatting weight, right? Probably not the time to take that up. But you can still be fit. It's just don't try to, if you hadn't run before the pregnancy, don't say now's the time to run the half marathon. Like keep it common sense. You can maintain your level of fitness. So that's sort of the rule of thumb there. It's like if you were doing this pre-pregnancy, you can sort of maintain that level. If you weren't working out, it's totally okay, but it isn't the time to take on some crazy fitness goal like I'm climbing all the stairs of the Empire State Building.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's not the time for that. And there are obvious basic rules of like during the second trimester, you don't want to lay on your back and you don't want anything overhead and you don't want rotation. So that's all incorporated into the program. But it really just takes into account everything you're talking about, how to kind of prepare mommy for birth, but keep you at a really healthy body weight and feeling fit and feeling strong. And here's something actually really cool and interesting that I learned when I wrote the book is that studies show babies with mommies who worked out during the pregnancy had better cardiovascular endurance, were better athletes. They had a healthier body weight and their body composition. They had less fat cells, which is actually it sounds crazy, but setting your kid up for success because we never lose fat cells ever. They can grow and they can shrink, but you don't actually lose the cell when you lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
You lose the fat inside of them, but so you're setting your baby up, plus mommy actually in some kind of crazy way can take the stem cells from baby or the hormones, and it's restorative, and it actually can improve your level of athleticism after the baby if you're working out during pregnancy. So it's like the benefits go beyond the obvious. It's really very cool. And I have all those studies in the book because I wrote it like friggin' 5 years ago. But it's all very common sense, very safe and straightforward, written with a pregnancy fitness specialist. All my programs, postnatal, prenatal, are with a pregnancy fitness specialist who co-created it with me. And I would say, look, check it out. If you love it, awesome. But if you're like, no, I really love my prenatal yoga, like, great. Or maybe do both. You know what I mean? There's no right or wrong as long as you are doing a prenatal program. And so my only caveat is I have seen women that are like, here's me crossing the line at the Boston Marathon and then delivering the kid on the way.
I know.
And I'm like, oh. And I know women can do it. I get it. But I don't think it's the time, right? Like, no, it's not the time to go crazy. And and the other thing is, like, if the first trimester you're like puking up foam and you're super dizzy and you're nauseous and you're exhausted, like, that's okay too. You know, be gentle, be loving, be kind with yourself. Like, there are days you're going to feel like complete shit, and that's okay, right? Mm-hmm. Like, take the day off then. You need it, take it off. And so don't go to either extreme. Be common sense, middle of the road, take care of you, and that's good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love that. I have tried doing some prenatal yoga, and I do enjoy it because I know I need to stretch more, but I am somebody who likes to change things up. If I get in too much of a routine, I feel like that's when I get bored if I'm doing the exact same thing every single day. So yeah. I'm definitely going to have to check out your program because I went through the phase like 10 years ago where I was not super healthy and was taking it too far. I would do a 90-minute Bikram yoga class. I would eat like a smoothie and then go to the gym for 2 hours.
No,
I know. And I messed up my hormones. I had complete exhaustion, and it took me, a few years to rebuild myself up and get healthy. And I realized if I like go to the gym and just lift some weights and do a little bit of cardio, I got the best results and I felt the best, not trying to, like you're saying, I've never got into like the Olympic weightlifting type stuff. I'm not trying to break any records or anything, but I know for like my arms, if I would just lift not even super heavy, like 3 times a week, at the end of the week, I'm like, whoa, I can see my biceps again. They're coming back. Like my body responds well to that stuff. So yoga, I do enjoy the prenatal yoga, but I also do get bored of it sometimes. So
it really, honestly, there are things you want to do. I mean, I'm not, this goes back to like, are there things that are ideal for fitness? Sure. I mean, absolutely. Like the yoga is good because it can help. It has core exercises to strengthen your pelvic floor, and it does help center you, and it will build strength. But I mean, yeah, there are definite ways to train and exercises that are advantageous. The only thing is just I train that way, right? Like for me, like if you do any of my workouts, I'm very methodical. I have a very concise trainer logic. Like I train certain muscles in a certain order so I don't fatigue small muscles before big muscles. So the big muscles get their full workout. And I have muscle splits. So there's optimal recovery. And I like circuits and I work HIIT intervals into those circuits. And I like body weight training. And then I do resistance training on different days. Like for me, I devour the science and then I pour it into my programs. With that said, someone could then turn around and say, I absolutely dread training with you. And it's like, because it isn't an easy workout. Like, it's not like, and a 1, lift the leg, and a 2. You know, when I look at these workouts, like, I am going to give you the absolute best workout for your goal. So whether it is trimester 1, 2, or 3, I will get all the information and I will make it as ideal as the science says it should be. It's just that if you show up and you're like, ugh, I hate the sound of her voice, or ugh, this is just too hard, I don't want to today, or ugh, I just want to go into Shavasana, you know, that's the part where you gotta kind of meet people where they're at. Mm-hmm. And when I was younger, I'd be like, yeah, but that's not the best. Here's why that's not a good. You know, that isn't doing X, Y, and Z. And like, this little dance thing you're doing, this isn't building your bones up, and this isn't strengthening your the X, Y, and Z. And here's why this is stupid and whatever. And there really is that's where I'm trying to just say, okay, move. That's my first thing, is move consistently. If I get you past move consistently, then yes, there are absolute fitness techniques that are more effective, no matter what your fitness goal, right? So whether it's pregnancy fitness or you're running a marathon, there are ways to train that are the best ways to go about that goal. I personally am just trying to get people in the door and not make it like you have to do it the best or it doesn't count. That's all. So I would say to you, like, we want you moving ideally 4 times a week. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? For like 30 minutes. That's what we want. And we want you eating clean foods. And then if I could get you doing, you know, and I already texted my publicist while we were on the phone, and I was like, you get my girl this app today. Now I want her on the program. And I'm going to send you my pregnancy book just so you can, it's all about food and fitness and all of that stuff. But it's kind of like wherever your head is at, you know what I mean? And you got to then take the science and allow the science to wrap around you and your needs so that it works for you instead of against you because you don't want to do it.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much. I've enjoyed just reading this entire pregnancy. So I'm reading all sorts of stuff. And I'm super excited to try out that app. When you're saying like, oh, maybe her voice annoys me and I don't want to listen. I feel like you have a very soothing voice, and now I feel like we're kind of friends. So then I'll feel like I'm working out with a friend while I'm doing it.
We'll see how you feel in like a week's time. You're like, oh, I want to punch this bitch in the face.
No.
It's so funny. On the app, I talk you through every exercise. So then recently I went back in and I was like, where's the coaching? Where's the coaching? So the tech team, they're like, well, we're getting a lot of complaints that you were talking too much. And I was like, what? So pissed. So now we're putting in a toggle where you can say, okay, it's called verbosity. I kid you not, where you can turn me on or you can turn me down.
That's so funny.
So like, if I'm annoying you can be like, I just can't. I just want to listen to my music and I don't want to hear it. I know the form. Or you can say, no, I really want her to coach me. So we'll see where your verbosity level is in a couple of weeks.
No, that sounds good. I will follow up with you on that. So you did mention something a couple of times, and this might sound like a silly question, because earlier you mentioned in the workouts, like bone density. And right now you said, is this workout building bones? I've never heard of building bones in a workout. I've always heard of building muscles. Can you actually improve bone density with a workout?
Oh my God. Yes.
Wow. That's revolutionary to me.
That's because you're young. That's because you're super young. And when you get older, you will really think about it. Okay. So exercise is stress. Okay. And if you think about it like this, we have something called a stress adaptation response. So you work out with weights, you get blisters on your hand, right? You keep working out with weights, and those blisters will turn into calluses. Not that anybody wants calluses. I'm just trying to show that the body will adapt to that continued stress and thicken the skin. It'll be like, okay, we got to toughen up here, right? So when you stress your body with exercise, you're stressing everything from your cardiovascular system, your muscles, and all the different ways your muscles work, whether it's, okay, your endurance or your power or your mobility, which is, again, why I'm always trying to challenge the body with different modalities of fitness. So it's like, oh, we're going to train this muscle with modality, speed, strength, power, agility, endurance, so that we're forcing the body to be stressed on so many different levels. So it turns around and says, oh my God, right? I got to develop new capillaries to deliver oxygen. So we're improving your cardiovascular endurance. Oh my God, like the pounding has stressed the bone. So exercise is a bit of a small injury. So when you're jumping up and down and you're lifting heavy weights, the muscles are pulling on the bone. It stresses the bone. So you get these tiny little fissures in the bone, and then your body has an inflammatory response, and it goes in there and it remodels your bone. It heals the bone. And this is how we keep our bones dense so that when you're 70 or 80, you don't break a hip. That's kind of the idea. So fitness is stress. We are creating these little micro injuries, which is why recovery is so important. Going back to one of the reasons I don't like CrossFit, right? So allowing that your body to recover from these little micro injuries and all of this physical stress is where you get stronger. So if you think of exercise as the architect, think of recovery as the construction crew, right? You got to have both. And so my goal is I want to stress your body in every kind of way and every part of your body, from bones, ligaments, tendons, all that connective tissue, muscles, cardiovascular conditioning, so that I am making you more fit across the board.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I always thought, like, when it came to the bones, because I've always had, like joint problems, I guess, a little bit, which would bother me when I was running before. But when I did the slow training for the marathon, my knees actually didn't bother me for the first time in a really long time. But I always thought, like, oh, because my knees suck, I need to be careful and not like.
Okay, when you say they suck, did you ever get a diagnosis on why they suck?
Well, yeah, when I was younger and I ran track, they started hurting at a very young age, and I did physical therapy, and they did an x-ray, and I have very little cartilage between my patella and femur. So they just kind of grind.
Okay, so this goes back to repetitive stress is very bad. Mm-hmm. So, and that's what you had, and at a young age.
Right.
So that's, yeah. So,
but I mean, I ran the half marathon and they actually didn't bother me because I was like stretching every day. I was slowly working up to it. I was taking collagen and joint stuff and really good omegas and just trying to reduce inflammation if I could through foods. And for the first time in a long time, they didn't bother me, which was awesome.
Okay. Like with all my running programs, there are strength days in there for exactly strength days and stretching days to prevent injury and protect the connective tissue, the bones, all of that, because all the repetitive stress is extremely hard on the body. So I'm so glad to hear that. That's really great news.
Yeah. Yeah. But I realize when I don't work out, they bother me more. So since I haven't worked out as much in the last 6 months, my knees are kind of hurting again. So I feel like when I work out, they actually don't bother me.
Because you're getting the synovial fluid in the joints going, and you're conditioning and strengthening the muscles. I'd be really curious to see, do you think you have any tendinitis at all?
I'm not sure. I have no idea.
If for you to get a session with a physical therapist and have them, I used to own a sports medicine facility before I got into this, and I ended up working with physical therapists and physiatrists at my clinic, but I worked under them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And that's where I would be so curious to see, because there could be things going on with your biomechanics that are just creating issues for you.
Right, right. Which I think that could be a huge part of it. I mean, right now, if I'm just walking up normal stairs, it sounds like Velcro in both my knees. My husband's always like, oh, that's so disgusting. But I have flat feet. I have rolled in ankles. I know I don't have a lot of cartilage between my patella and femur, but it's never stopped me from like pushing myself working out before or anything like that. So I'm like, maybe my body's just made weird.
No, it's not made weird. Everybody's body is unique. The only thing is you do want to get all the information, right? Because there's a way to absolutely push yourself where you're rehabbing the knee and not being like, you're going to do this. And we're bone on bone, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I would say, like, hey, have you ever, when this ends, maybe get a session or two with a PT and just get their opinion, their thoughts, because they'll look at your body and your biomechanics and the way you walk and, where your hips are at and if your pelvis is shifted and what muscle imbalances you have that could be putting pressure on your patella tendon or your IT band and help you to balance things out. Or they might say, hey, we need an MRI on that knee. I think you have crepitus or, there's a million things that could be going on with the knees, unfortunately. It could be bursitis. It could be patella tendinitis. It could be crepitus. It could be a meniscus. It could be ACL. So that's where I wouldn't want you to beast through something without knowing what you're dealing with. So you don't have issues later and you make sure that you're rehabbing it and making it strong as possible without stressing it in a way that could further an injury. That's all.
Yeah, no, for sure. I actually am supposed to start physical therapy soon, but I'm doing pelvic floor therapy.
Right.
I'm a huge believer in pelvic floor therapy for pregnancy and postpartum as well. And I'm already like nervous because a few times I coughed really hard and peed a little bit. And I was like, oh, hell no, this is not happening already.
Oh, that's okay. Don't worry.
I'm scared.
Even if that's the case, it's like you will have a beautiful baby and it's nothing. Look, things happen. Fine. It's not that big of a deal.
No, but I talked to my midwife at my next appointment. I was like, listen, and she's like, I'll refer you to a pelvic floor therapist. I was like, thank you, because I'm trying to do Kegels at home. I was doing some bridges. I'm like, I just want to try everything I can because I'm like, if I'm already having problems, I'm just scared.
Be on your bladder. Come on.
I know.
I'm telling you, it's normal, but it is smart to obviously want to be in the best shape, but that's totally normal. It really is. And yes, by strengthening the pelvic floor, it makes it a lot easier. It'll make delivery easier. It'll make recovery easier. But I mean, things like you're pregnant. This is very normal.
I know.
Very normal.
So we've talked a lot about your app, but we haven't said the app name.
Oh my gosh. Literally, if you go to the App Store and you just type in, whether it's Google or the Play Store or the iTunes Store, it's just Jillian Michaels, My Fitness. And honestly, you download it for free. Use the 7-minute workouts. If you like it, consider a trial to it. If you like it, right now, as I said, we're doing, we're offering it for only $69 for an entire year. That's the other thing is I have no idea how long this is going to last. So people are like, I'll give you a month free. And I'm like, what are you going to do when a month comes and goes and people have 2 more months? Like, what are you going to do? So we just decided we slashed the price for a year to $69. And it's also a price you keep forever. Cause once you sign up, there's no undoing it. It's not like, well, next year you go back to the $99.99 price. Cause you can't, it's good until you decide to cancel it. And at the very least, use the free workouts on there at the very least, or check out my YouTube channel. I've got nutrition videos and form videos and all kinds of stuff on there. That's also free. Take out my books at the library, all free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was actually looking at some of those. Also on your Instagram, I was looking because you'll post technical videos on there, like how to do a proper squat and how to do a proper push-up. And the push-up thing, I feel like I've seen so many times. And so I was actually watching your tutorial today on it. And form is really important. And I'm sure that's a pet peeve of yours when you see people squatting wrong and you're like, oh my gosh, they're going to hurt themselves. So making sure that if you are working out from home, check out Jillian's videos on technical and how to do it properly to make sure that you're getting the most out of it and you're not hurting yourself, because she has tons of resources out there. So thank you so much. You gave us so much information today. I feel like we just covered a wide variety of topics, and I'm
patience of a saint. Thank you for letting me talk.
Oh, I love it. And I'm super excited for this episode to come out and for people to hear it. And I'm really looking forward to doing your at-home workout program and checking that out. And I'm super excited to read the Yad Baby book as well.
I'm going to send you that one. I'm going to get all your information, give that to Ash, who's my good friend, but also publicist, because that has a ton of exercises as well as the programs, but there's something called like Mula Bandha for strengthening your pelvic floor. There's all kinds of stuff in there about this from literally 4 doctors and a pregnancy fitness specialist. Like, this is not a book I wrote like, oh, I think I'll write a book on this. No. So it's very well researched. I think you'll like it. I'm going to get you that. I'm going to get you the app ASAP.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Thank you again so much for coming on, taking the time out of your day to just give us all of this amazing education and resources and being so open and sharing your life with us. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. And all right. So once you start doing the workouts, let me know what you think about the sound of my voice after a week.
I will for sure. All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Man, I hope you guys got as much out of that as I did. Just even, like I said, the raw, real relationship advice and even talking about what couples don't talk about before they get into it. And then these conversations arise, or you think you're on the same page when you're in it. You know, you're like, oh yeah, we'll definitely do this with our kids. But then once you're in it, things change and it's so hard. Relationships are hard. And it was just so much fun talking to her and hearing somebody just be so open and honest about it. I know Vito and I have talked a lot about our relationship and how it has changed even with pregnancy. I talk about it a little bit on my blog at miraculousmamas.com. And then we also talk about it on our podcast, the Long Haul Podcast. We've had a lot of fights on there, laughs on there. We like to keep it real with everybody each week. So you can check that out as well. Also, I just want to thank, I'm assuming this person's name's Lindsay. I'm not 100% sure, but Lindsay left a review and it just said, this podcast is the best. I love Liz. Also the podcast she does with her husband, The Long Haul, is also awesome. Love listening to both pods every week. And the username is Lynn's Dune. If that is you, please reach out to me because I would love to send you a thank you gift for your awesome review and taking the time out of your day to do that. If you guys are loving these interviews in the podcast, just take 2 minutes to write a review and rate. That helps us get more noticed on iTunes, helps spread the message and grow our community and get the word out there about Miraculous Mamas. And thank you guys so much for taking time to listen to this. I know that everyone's routine is kind of thrown off a little bit right now. So maybe when you would normally listen to podcasts, you don't get to. And I know that it's hard to keep up with things. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this. And I just look forward to talking with you guys next week. Like I said, I have Stephanie Turner coming on. She's an actress. We're going to be talking about her movie out on Netflix and just her story. And I'm also bringing on another educator this month. And then May is packed full of awesome stories. You guys, I have so many guests lined up right now to come on that I'm so excited to talk to you. And I can't wait for you guys to hear from. So keep listening and make sure you join our Facebook community and follow us on the Miraculous Mamas Instagram, where I'll be posting all the information about the guests that do come on. I love you guys so much. I hope that April is bringing some warmth wherever you're at. I know it's, hit and miss here in Chicago still, but hopefully you guys are getting some sunshine, getting outside, getting some fresh air, and connecting with nature as much as you can during this time. But I love you guys, and I'll talk to you next week.